While it may not seem like it on the surface, Cole has gone through a lot in the 13 years of the show. He has had his ups and of course plenty of downs. And here today, we will be going through Cole's entire character arc from the pilots to where we are now in Dragons Rising Season 2. So, to start Cole's story, we actually have to go quite a while back, even before the pilots. Of course, I'm talking about when his mum, Lily, was sick. So, we don't get to see too much of Lily in the show, but in Master of the Mountain, we find out that she was the Master of Earth before Cole, and that she saves the citizens of Shintaro, or at least the citizens under Shintaro, from the Skull Sorcerer. But presumably, this scene took place many years after that. And also here, we learn what makes Cole the person that he is today in the show. Obviously, this is because of this line that Lily says.
I want you to promise me, Cole, that you will always stand up to those who are cruel and unjust.
And as we can tell from the entire series, he has followed that one line his whole life. So fast forwarding a few years now, Lily has now passed away and Cole is climbing mountains to take his mind off things, and this is of course where he meets Master Wu for the very first time. And he starts a conversation with him about how his mum passed away and his dad has been singing and dancing with the royal blacksmiths, which leaves him having to do everything for himself, which makes sense seeing how independent and how much of a leader Cole is throughout the show. Anyway, Cole then asks Wu why he climbed up the mountain, to which he says, "To find you, Cole," which is quite a weird thing to say. Like, how did he know he would find Cole up there? But presumably, Cole didn't find that too weird, seeing as he went on to the monastery with him to train as a ninja. So here we can assume that Wu trained Cole one-on-one for a bit, seeing as Cole was the first of the OG ninja that Wu recruited. And here is where Cole and Wu would have become close friends with each other, which mainly comes to light in Season 8, where he is determined to find Wu. But that is years away, so later on, Jay, Zane, and finally Kai joined the team, and they went on a journey to find the 4 golden weapons of Spinjitzu. And the first one they get is the Scythe of Quakes, Cole's weapon, and when they get it, they end up facing a dragon, which is the only thing that Cole is scared of according to him. And then later on in the pilots, he and the others have to ride the dragons so that they can pass on over to the underworld. And obviously Cole isn't a huge fan of this, seeing as he is riding it backwards. And in Season 1 Episode 9, The Royal Blacksmiths, Cole and the ninja have to enter a singing and dancing competition to win a Fang Blade. So they go to Cole's dad's house so they can practice, which really doesn't make sense to me, because at this point, I'm pretty sure they intended on just stealing it, but anyway. It does give Cole an excuse to reunite with his dad, who thinks Cole has been going to Mighty Oppenheimer's School of Performing Arts, but in reality, he is being a ninja. So after a bit of practicing, they get ready for their performance at the Royal Blacksmith competition, and as they are backstage, Cole's dad overhears him saying that he will steal the cup, which obviously made him pretty upset, but when he sees how upset his dad was, he then decides that they will try and win it fair and square. But during their performance, Serpentine attacks them and Cole performs the Triple Tiger Sachet, which is apparently a really hard dance move to perform, and this gives the ninja a perfect score and they win the Blade Cup. So they go backstage to celebrate this win, and Cole's dad finds him and says how proud he was of him. But Pythor decides to break this up by pushing a bunch of backstage stuff onto Lou. But luckily, Cole jumped in right after him and unlocked his true potential, since his relationship with his dad was holding him back. So not much happens for Cole during the rest of Season 1, except for helping defeat the big bad for that season, and the same can be said for Season 2, except he also got this sick new whip and he did this to some Stone Army guys. But in Season 3, we do get something that is quite a big deal for Cole, but that isn't necessarily a good thing, but instead a very bad thing. I think we all know where this is going, so I've given my thoughts on the whole Cole, Nia, and Jay love triangle before, so I'll just quickly touch on it here because I really don't want to talk about it. So basically, if you have forgotten, I will tell you how this whole thing started. So, during the field trip to Borg Tower, Nia and her students visited this gaming area where for some reason there was a perfect match machine. So Nia stepped right up onto it and it told her that Cole was her perfect match. I also just wanted to quickly mention, how does this machine have a picture of Cole? So anyway, Nia then decides that she likes Cole all of a sudden, so she can't choose between Cole and Jay, but she mainly keeps this to herself, at least until later in the season when they are all in the junkyard and Pixel mentions that Nia and Cole are a perfect match. I mean, are you serious, Pixel? Did you really have to start this beef? Anyway, as soon as this was mentioned, Jay walks in right before Cole, and Jay has every right to be upset about this, but I don't get why he attacks Cole. Not only just because he would get absolutely destroyed, but Pixel never mentioned anything about Cole actually doing anything with Nia. But yeah, anyway, this leads to them fighting with each other on and off for the rest of the season, but who cares, let's move on to season 4. So in case you have forgotten, at the start of this season, the ninja are separated because they are grieving about Zane dying, but one by one, Lloyd finds them and brings them back, and Cole was a lumberjack here, by the way. I don't really know what else to say about that though. Anyway, the team gets invited to the Tournament of Elements and Cole eats his fortune cookie. On the island, he gets a new room for a bed made out of rocks, but also a pantry full of food. But moving on to the actually good part, the Jay versus Cole fight. So they start off the fight actually trying to hurt each other because they are both genuinely pissed off at each other. But when Jay falls over on the floor, they realize that the writers regretted the love triangle, so they then pretended to fight each other in the hopes that the match will end in a draw, which is pretty stupid because like Chen would ever allow that to happen. And yeah, I am obviously right because Chen sends out Anaconda choppers onto the arena, so they end up teaming up to defeat them. Then Chen gets very upset and goes, you know what, if no one is going to win, then you will both lose. So he button mashes so the floor starts to come apart, and Cole and Jay decide that it isn't worth both of them getting eliminated, so Cole gets the Jade Blade but makes a split second decision to give it to Jay, so Cole gets eliminated from the tournament. Cole most likely did this because he felt that the whole drama was caused by him, even though it wasn't really. But anyway, this is where Cole's story takes a turn for the best, because he is finally given something individual for his character to do. You know, something that the rest of the ninja team isn't a part of, which really gives him the spotlight for the next few episodes because they focus a decent bit of him here. So at the start of what I like to call Cole's noodle arc, he gets locked up in a prison after getting his powers taken away from him, but they do eventually release him, but only so he can work at the noodle factory. There, he befriends Karloff and also turns white. Also, I guess the guards take the prisoners for a daily walk underneath the island, and this is where things get really good, because on this walk, they pass Zane's cell, so Cole makes it his mission to break Zane out of the prison. So he came up with a plan to steal one of the Anaconda worshippers' keys so he could escape the noodle factory and then unlock the door to Zane's prison cell. This was a big moment because Cole and Zane have always been pretty close, and being without him for an entire year would have been hard, and then seeing that he was alive would have been such a great sight for Cole. So anyway, now with Zane, they now try and find an escape from the tunnels underneath Chen's island, but things don't go too well because Klaus's snake corners them, but luckily Zane now has explosive shurikens in his arm, so they escape. Then, as they finally found the exit of the tunnels, Cole realizes that he can't just leave the other elemental masters and everyone else in Chen's noodle factory. He needed to do the right thing and save them. The ninja thing, as he puts it. But I don't think he made this decision because it was a ninja thing to do, because time and time again, we have seen Cole save people out of the goodness of his heart. I mean, just look at Master of the Mountain. So anyway, Cole and Zane return to the factories to work on a plan for everyone to escape the factory. And they do take a while to come up with a plan to escape, but they eventually build a rotojet, or better known as Cole's Boulder Blaster. And while Cole didn't really help build the jet, he definitely showed himself to be a true leader, just like he was back in the pilots. So anyway, they blast through the walls and they meet up with the remaining elemental masters while they were fighting over Chen's staff of elements. And this is where Cole's individual story ends this season. He still helped the ninja defeat the anaconda, but he didn't do anything to really stand out. So into the next season possession, it does take a few episodes for Cole's development to go into full swing, but when it does start swinging, it swings high. So the ninja had just lost the scroll of Air Jutsu to Moro, but Ronin tells them that there is another copy in Yang's haunted temple, so Cole leads them to the temple and they wait there until night. So we all know what happens next. They all face their fears in the temple. Cole didn't really have a specific fear that he faced in this episode, apart from Moro, who all of the other ninjas were afraid of as well. Anyway, Cole being the leader, he decided they should make sure that they all stick together by tying a rope around all four of them. So they end up meeting Yang, who gives them the scroll and also a warning that if they stay in the temple until midnight, they'll turn into ghosts. So they all sprint to the doorway, and as they approach the exit, Cole runs into a pole and drops the scroll, so he has to untie the rope to grab it, and knowing that he is almost 100% likely going to turn into a ghost because of this, but Cole being the selfless guy that he is, he did it anyway. But that didn't soften the blow of him turning into a ghost, because I don't know about you, but he looks pretty depressed. So in the next episode, Cole goes through quite a lot. But I did actually talk a little bit about this in my last video, so I'll just quickly skim over it here. So Cole starts off being pretty sad about being a ghost, which makes sense because if you turned into a ghost, I bet you would be pretty sad as well. But Nia then comes in and comforts Cole a little bit. They then arrive at the mountain, which leads them to the blind man's eye. So Cole and the other ninjas start to climb the mountain, but Cole is still down in the dumps, and when he almost gets swept off the mountain, he doesn't feel any better. But when Bouncer causes a blizzard and the ninja start to fly off the face of the mountain, Cole demonstrates what his new ghostly abilities can do. He spots a snowball and possesses it, and it turns into a snow monster, which oddly reminds me of his golem form. Anyway, Cole starts to feel better about himself, and once he possesses Zane's Titan mech and basically gives it a rocket boost, he pretty much fully accepted himself being a ghost. But Cole does fall off his high horse for a tad when he has to air jutsu to the top of the mountain. Obviously, he is scared because he has never performed air jutsu before, but since he is a ghost and he can't die as long as there isn't water right underneath him, so with this little boost of confidence, he air jutsus to the top and makes it through to the Cloud Kingdom. And in the Cloud Kingdom, Cole only really does one key thing, which is becoming a key. Do you see what I did there? So anyway, the Master Rider locks the ninja in a room with this guy whose name I have forgotten, but seeing as Cole is a ghost, he is perfectly safe and can just phase through the wall. But seeing as he needs to save the other ninja, he, as mentioned before, becomes the key to unlock the door so the others can escape. This solidifies Cole as even more of a key member to the ninja team as he was before, as his new abilities have now helped the ninja a number of times in a matter of days since he turned into a ghost. But sadly, for the rest of Season 5, Cole's only trait was that he was scared of touching water because he would die if he did. So, moving right on to everyone's favourite part of Ninjago, Day of the Departed. Cole actually gets a lot of development in the 40 minutes of runtime the special has. So, at the start, Cole is driving his rock buggy car and he loses control of it because of his ghost hands. Then, at the museum, the other ninja can't see Cole and they even completely forget about him. So, this leads Cole to go to Yang's haunted temple because he wants his revenge on Yang for turning him into a ghost in the first place. Even though in Season 5, he had already accepted it. But I guess being completely forgotten by her friends changes things. Anyway, Cole pulls up to the temple where he confronted Yang, but ends up hitting this thing which releases this green smoke which returns all of the villains in the Hall of Villainy back to life. you could say that that was a big oopsie on Cole's part. Also, he got captured by Yang's students, so he obviously hasn't had a great day so far. Anyway, Yang tells Cole his plan on how he can become human again, so after being in prison for a while, he escapes and goes to try and stop Yang from making the rift so he can become human again, but he ends up opening it anyway, which means if Yang passes through the rift, Cole will start fading away and he'll end up having to live at the temple forever. So he starts to fight Yang, and he even unlocks his Earth Punch abilities, and in doing so, he released Yang's students from the curse Yang put on them. And when Yang realizes that he has lost, he ends up having a conversation with Cole about how he was doing all of this so he wouldn't be forgotten. So Cole, with every right to be upset with Yang, ends up coming to an understanding with him and comforts him, and even takes him to the rift so they both can become human again. This moment probably shows Cole's kindness the most, but as we know, only Cole managed to pass through the rift to become human again, and he also gains a cool scar. So in Season 7, the only thing Cole really did was learn the ropes of his new powers a bit, and bully Lloyd about him being a master in training. But now we have the Oni trilogy, which is where Cole really starts to shine. So at the start of SOG, Cole and Jay start looking for Woo, but they have no luck and they have to end their search because they have to help the other ninja with the Sons of Garmadon problem. And during this time, Cole is the only ninja who really still has any hopes of finding Woo. Fast forwarding a bit, Cole and Zane go undercover at a pub being run by the Sons of Garmadon, and here Cole has to sing, and he ends up getting found out and he got captured and locked up in their base. Here, Cole starts his new habit of talking to himself, but he also finds the key to the mask of hatred, being Woo. But he doesn't know that yet, and over the next few episodes, Cole practically takes care of him as his own, and he even calls him Cole Jr. But when he eventually learns that the baby was Woo, things come full circle, and for the rest of the season, Cole continues to look after baby Woo, and even jumps off to Destiny's bounty to save him. And in the first realm, their connection becomes stronger as they are alone together for most of the season since the others got imprisoned by dragon hunters. And it is just so great seeing Cole and Woo like this. Cole even becomes sort of a father figure for Woo when he tells him that he should tell Faith that he doesn't actually know where the dragon armor is, and not much changes for Cole for the rest of the season. And in what is kind of meant to be Cole's season, March of the Oni, we all know what happens. In episode 3, they escape from the darkness and Cole's ladder breaks and he falls from a pretty great height, but he somehow doesn't die and ends up coming to the ninja's aid in the finale. So now we are in the 11-minute era where Cole starts off having a very weird fascination with this abomination. And that is literally the only thing I have to say for Cole in the fire chapter. But at least he does get something in the ice chapter. As soon as the ninja arrive in the Netherrealm, the bounty crashes, so they have to escape, and Cole drops the Traveler's Tea in the process, which they thought was the only way home, which we later found out that Traveler's Tea would not have been able to bring them back to Ninjago in the first place. But anyway, at least that wasn't the only thing we got for Cole, because he also formed a friendship with Crag, who he met when he climbed the mountain to get the Traveler's Tree leaves. Also, when he is climbing up the mountain, Cole saves some people from falling off it. But going back to Crag, before climbing the mountain, Cole was told that there was a monster up there, and then when they first met each other, Crab jumps at Cole, and Cole obviously thinks that this was an attack, but we later found out that Crab was actually trying to save Cole, which I liked. For the rest of the season, Cole basically just acts like Crag's dad, which isn't really anything new for Cole. The next season, Prime Empire, is pretty uneventful for Cole, apart from the fact that he sacrificed himself during the Mario Kart episode so he could take out some of the rats, so the rest would have an easier race. But now we finally have our very first Cole season, Master of the Mountain. It only took 10 years and 13 seasons, but we got it and it didn't disappoint. So the ninja are obviously in Shintaro because the king invited the ninja for his daughter's birthday, and it seems that she takes a very odd liking to Cole, at least according to Lloyd. Anyway, later that night, a gecko comes in Cole's room for some unknown reason and also has a locket of Cole's mum Lily on it, which really weirded him out for some reason. So he called an emergency meeting and told the others, and no one believed him. Anyway, he runs into Vanya, who tells Cole that she had an imaginary purple friend when she was little, so she takes Cole underground, and then this season really takes off. They find that the geckos and Muns are imprisoned, so Cole jumps down to save them, but since they are mining Vengestone, his powers don't work, so the Skull Sorcerer skeletons capture him and he gets imprisoned with the geckos and Muns. So while he is there, he tries to break up some beef between the geckos and Munsters. Anyway, over the next few episodes, the other ninja enter the mountain and also get captured, and they eventually all escape but get separated, with Cole being on his own as he was the only one who actually managed to escape. So he finds Wu and then tells the king what is happening, and what a surprise, he is a Skull Sorcerer. So he makes them fall down the mountain for an entire episode before eventually meeting the Loyally, who after a little convincing by Cole, convinces them to help them fight the Skull Sorcerer, and with Cole's leadership skills, he leads them all the way to the Earth Master Stronghold, where he tries to learn the Spinjitzu Burst, but he fails. But at least he now has a cool new mech, which he uses for like 3.5 minutes. So skipping over to the finale, all the ninja were captured, and Cole takes on the Skull Sorcerer with the Swords of Deliverance, which get broken in half, which causes Cole to have a flashback about him telling his mum that he will always stand up to those who are rude and unjust. And then he unlocks the Spinjitzu Burst and obliterates Skull Sorcerer before saying goodbye to Vanya and then leaving. But it seems like that giving Cole his own season was too much for the writers, because in the islands and Seabound, he does absolutely nothing, and in Crystallized, the only thing he actually does is rally up the ninja to investigate the venture and stuff. Then after that, he is basically forgotten. But at least with Dragons Rising, they have not forgotten about Cole. So we don't actually get to see Cole for the first 15 episodes of Dragons Rising, and in fact, he is only in like 2 or 3 episodes in the first season. Anyway, this was because Cole was protecting the guys in the Land of the Lost Things, which was where Nia and Sora found him and fought him in his new, really cool golem form. So here we learn that Cole ended up in the Land of Lost Things after the merge, and he stayed there for like the 4 or 5 years since, which was probably because of Geo. Anyway, they don't really get up to too much except taking down the Hoarder, so then Nia and Sora attack to take the Dragon Claw and lead to take down Empress Beatrix without Cole. Unfortunately, because Wu's Ghost Spirit called him, which I actually kind of got hyped up about because I thought it was going to be some epic cool thing or something, especially because we were told that we would at least be told what happened in Season 2. But Part 1 is out and nothing has been said about it at all. But in Season 2, Cole was off somewhere and he coincidentally goes back to the Land of Lost Things while they were getting attacked, and he attacks the Wolf Mask Warriors and Donald Trump walls their asses, and they escape through the portal gate, which leads them right to the monastery, which also coincidentally is where Zane is standing right in front of as they run through it. Anyway, Bundle explains to everyone that she is a spell, and Cole comforts her, so he, Zane and Bundle go off on a quest to find a way to protect her. On their way to Mysterium, they run into Dorama, and I'm not going to talk about this part because I hate Dorama, and once they get to Mysterium, they find a replica of the Monastery of Spinjitzu, and it even has the same crack in the wall which Cole and Jay made during a fight they had. And speaking of fights, they fight the administration, which was probably harder than it really needed to be, so Cole got turned into a dog. They also lose bonds, and they end up going to the Cloud Kingdom because it is about to crash into the ground, so they try and fix it and fail, so eventually Euphrasia has to save today. So, in the end, Cole's story ends up being pretty pointless because none of what he really did had an effect on the story, and so far in Dragons Rising, he has been sidelined from the main ninja team, but at least at this point in time, it looks like Cole will be joining up with the main team and competing in the Tournament of the Sources, which is pretty cool, since over the last few years, Cole has become one of my favourite Ninjago characters. And in case you wanted to see another character story, you can check out this playlist right here. See you later, be ninja.